Today, I am honored and privileged to be sitting with an old friend. He is a visionary, if I say so myself, and his name is Robert Abate. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, thank you for having me. And for those of you on my end, this is Voice Your Thoughts, sitting with wisdom. With a dear old friend Erica. I'll give a little backstory. We have been friends for what's it been, like 20 years now? Like we've known each other since probably
Yeah,
2005. My
yeah,
junior year of high school. That's when we met.
yeah.
Yep. So we went to high school together, graduated together, went to college together. Um, we were, I guess you could say, quote unquote, best friends at one point in time. Like
Yeah.
we legit considered each other best friends, talked all the time. Had a great friendship. I love her family. Her family helped me out a lot through a lot of troublesome times in my life. And Erica was always there to support me through a lot of things. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Um, that being said, being friends for 20 years, we haven't talked in at least 10 years,
Ooh,
I would say.
yes.
So
Yes, that
all
is.
that history just for us to not talk in about half the time we've been friends. So this will make for a pretty good conversation, I hope.
I
And
think
I'm
so.
excited for it. I'm truly excited
I
for it.
definitely think so. Especially seeing that we haven't talked. This is literally the first time we have talked
Right.
in 10 years. That is
Crazy. It could be
crazy.
longer than that. I don't know, but I know it's been at least 10 years.
Yeah,
I
at
know it's been at
minimum,
least at
definitely.
minimum 10 years. Yeah. And if we did talk, it was just very minimal before that. I don't know what happened, but maybe we'll get there. We'll see.
Yeah,
But
we'll find out. We'll see.
so, so what's today's topic? What do we have today? What's
Yeah.
on the agenda?
So we're talking visionary thinking, right?
Mhm.
Like, what is it to be a visionary? What is it? What does it look like to have the thought process to be able to overcome obstacles and move forward? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I love when you sent this to me because I actually got it written down word for word. What you said, topics visionary thinking, and you said how to see beyond your circumstances, cultivating a mindset that sees opportunities instead of obstacles.
yep,
That's deep. That's
yep.
deep. And the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of that was this guy that I used to listen to all the time. His name is Jim Rohn.
Okay.
Okay, he's a motivational speaker. He's been passed a long time ago, but his quote that he has, one of the things he would always say is, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom.
Yeah.
So that is something he would say consistently in all his meetings and every in his when what do you call them when you get everybody together and they have these big old conventions,
Seminars.
seminars
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a consistent approach of his is stop wishing life was easier, just wish you were better.
Yeah.
Right. And that falls right in line with what they're talking about is, how to see beyond your circumstances.
For
Right.
sure.
Cultivating a mindset that sees opportunities instead of the obstacles that are in front of us, which we have seen plenty.
Yeah. I mean, and that's for me, when I was thinking about it, I was just like, man, one, I hadn't talked to you in forever, but I knew like just the backstory of you, right? And then on my end, of course, as I've gotten older, I've experienced a lot of different obstacles, but to see that the perseverance is there to see our way through and navigate is just like, man, how did we formulate that? How did that
Right.
come into being? So I think that's a pretty good topic to talk about.
Yeah, it's awesome. So let's
Yeah.
get into it. What you got for me? Do you want to
All
start or
right.
go ahead?
So a question I have written, it says, you know you've been through a lot over the years, and so have I. When did you first realize the power of visionary thinking?
When did I first realize the power of visionary thinking? That's a great question. Um, let's see here. Yes, I've been through a lot and I've talked about that in one of my videos. Hopefully you watch it. If
I
those of you
definitely
haven't,
have.
definitely watch it. But, um, so there was a point in time in my life where I honestly kind of felt like I just had enough. Um, I think it was probably when I moved to Jacksonville
Mm,
and that was my third different high school in 3 years, 2 years maybe, I don't know. Different school in ninth grade, 10th grade, and then 11th grade, right? So I guess 3 years. So my third different high school. And I was just sick of it. I was sick of the moving. I was sick of the constant chaos. And I was just ready for something different. I was tired of running, trying to blame things for happening in my life. And at that point in time, I said, I've got to make a change. Right. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I really didn't, because really I was, before even going to college, I was supposed to go to the military. Right. I had signed up for the Air Force and I just backed out of that last minute. So I didn't know where I was going. I just know I needed to go somewhere. I remember, I had a conversation with you once. I don't know if it was when we were in high school. And, um, I even told you, I said, what my life goal is to buy a house, and I could buy the house, open the door, and that's it. Life's over, but I made it, because I remember that. But I remember telling you that. So that was my start to visionary thinking. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I opened the door and I continued on. But life was so chaotic back then that I was so tired of everything going wrong and not having any stability that I felt like just getting there was stable enough for me. So I guess maybe that was when I started having some visionary thinking. How about yourself?
That's just like, hear you say that. That's like huge. And I actually do remember the conversation. Like, we've had some really, deep conversations along the path. But the simple thought of, I just want to have a home that I can enter into, like, and then a lot of people take that for granted. But to know where you've come from and to see you bloom, right? And then succeed that expectation, that's kudos.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That was tough to say, by the way. That almost
I
probably,
saw. I
I was
saw.
probably the chair to myself.
I saw.
But how about yourself though? I mean, when did you realize that it was time to start having some vision to your thoughts and where you were going?
And I feel like I've always, since we were younger, like had the mindset of being like a visionary, like seeing beyond what's now. Um, but I will say I allow other people kind of to dictate instead of taking control myself. So I would just follow, okay, yeah, that's what my life path looks like. Sure, I'll follow it. Going off to Bethune Cookman and all of that. Like, that was never really my goal. I wanted to be in South Carolina, occupational therapy. I ended up becoming a teacher. So, but further down, I'll say once I had my first child is when I really was like, you know what, I'm going to take reins of my life and really decide what I want it to look like and what I want to do. And, I started on that journey and I'm loving it.
That's huge though. Like having a kid it's life changing for sure. That'll really open your eyes to some thoughts. That being said, like when you had your kid, is that something that you were ready for? Did you know was happening, or did it just pop up and it just kind of forced you into that mode? Like, you know what? I have to take control now because I have a life coming.
Yeah, so definitely just popped up. Wasn't really planning for a child at 22 years old, out here just living life. But when it did happen, it was kind of like hey, what are you gonna do next? And I remember I had just left Cookman. I had just got back home, and I was going to hair school. I was in cosmetology school. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do hair too, all these great things in my mind. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, now you have a child.
Yeah,
Are you really going to do hair? Do you really want to do that? Or are you just going to do this whole education thing?
I get it. You seen I had my son at a very young age too. I think I had just turned 23 when he was born. It's crazy. Yeah. How old's your kid now? How's your son?
He is about to be 12.
About to be 12. Okay. So my son will be 13 in May. So he's about to be 13. So a year difference.
Man, yeah, I haven't seen that kid in forever.
He's huge. Now he's like a grown man. It's ridiculous how big he
I can
is.
only
He's
imagine.
almost taller than me now.
Wow.
He's got a bigger shoe size than me. His hands are bigger than mine. He's just bigger than me, which is great. I love it. Like I hope he gets above 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3". Like please keep growing, son.
Right.
Please, I love it. It's awesome, but it's scary at the same time.
Heck
It definitely is.
yeah.
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 So I got a question for you now. You gave me a question, so I'm gonna go throw a question back at you. So all things considered, is this where you expect it to be? Right? Because we just kind of discussed like, obviously the son wasn't planned, and praise
Right.
your son because I'm sure you love him and he's definitely a blessing because it changed your life for the best. But
Of course.
is this the path that you thought you were going to be on?
Mm, definitely not. Um, Even if I go back to childhood, I remember I wanted to be a lawyer, a WNBA player, and a doctor.
Right. Hey,
Just from childhood,
all,
that was what I wanted to do. And then as I got older, I said, before we went off to college, I was like, yeah, I'm going into occupational therapy because I do love kids. I'm really good with them, but I wanted something that didn't necessarily restrict me into a classroom setting. Um, so yeah, no, I'm not exactly where I thought I would be, but I am enjoying the experience. How about you?
well, for one, I had no idea where I would be, right? But as far as where I wanted to be, I mean, I wanted to play sports. I wanted to play football, or I did want to be a lawyer at one point. That was something I was really into. And no, it just obviously I'm neither one of those. But it's taken me on quite the journey, that's for sure. With me having my son at an early age, still being in school and trying to navigate that, was very tough. So tough that I couldn't navigate that. Just had to go straight into working, and providing for my son because, I just didn't have the support for anybody else to help us out or anything like that. So, um, but it did take me on a journey, on a career path that I'm grateful for. I work in sales. It's changed my life. It's helped me I don't know if it's helped me for the best, but it's gotten me to where I am today. So I'm super grateful for it. To say this is where I expected my life to be at, definitely not,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have a lot of expectations. Let's just say that. Um, you know, the circumstances, the obstacles were kind of against me. The odds were against me, I guess you could say, but that was something that I just had to navigate through, figure out, and honestly just, let God take control and lead me into the right direction, to be really honest with you. Like, because I didn't have a lot of direction. Like I said, I was going to join the military, decided not to join
Yeah.
the military because I was like, no, I don't want to be in the military. I'm just going to be moving again over and over and over, and I don't want to do that. So I found stability in going to school until that wasn't it, and then, having a son. And then I was working at Burger King in college. You know what I mean?
Remember that?
I worked at Burger King for like a couple of years and seeing all y'all come through the drive through. I was on the drive through taking orders and, so yeah, life was a struggle, but I'm grateful for where I've ended up. Come a long way. We both have come a long way
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. All right. I love that. Let me ask my next question. How do you personally shift your mindset when you're in a tough situation and can't see your way out?
Mm. Okay. So one of my biggest things is learning how to adapt. You truly, in anything in life, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, as the people like to say, right? But I feel like one of the biggest things that, because of some of the things I've been through, all the things I've been through, like I've had to learn how to adapt and adapt quickly
Yeah.
and just kind of maybe go with the flow in some ways. Understand that there's certain things I can and can't control
Right.
and not focus. If you focus on too many things you can't control, you just drive yourself crazy, right? So you have to worry about what you can control. You can control your mindset, right? So I can sit there and say, okay, this is a tough situation. I'm stressed the heck out. How am I going to get through this? I can sit here and mope and be in my own feelings and just be upset about it and angry at the world and blame everybody for my failures or for what I'm going through. Or I can take a step back, look around, and say, what is at least step one? What can I control right now? What can I do to at least mitigate some of the issues, the problems?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What can I be grateful for? You know, and that's just how I take it, just really one step at a time, trying to find things I can be grateful for, trying to be in the moment and not so much focus on the end goal per se, or getting through the obstacle or getting through the issue, and focusing on just the little steps along the way to help me actually get there. Right. So creating that mindset to where you're like, okay, step one, step two, step three.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't get there, you'll be surprised of just how better off you'll be just trying.
Thanks.
Because if you don't try, then it's it. It's over, right? Like you're just gonna have a
Yeah.
horrible negative mindset and you're gonna be angry at the world and everything. But if you at least try and just do what you can, you might actually get somewhere. So I don't
True.
know if that answers your question, but like,
It does. And funny, because I tell people this all the time. It's like, eat the elephant. How do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time.
right.
So an elephant is a huge task to take on. So when you have like all these conflicting issues and it just seems so monumentous, it's like the only way you can really effectively make a change and kind of like start to clear some of the path is to just take it on one step at a time. Right. So yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. You kind of asked me a similar question that I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, what are the key mental shifts that can help you approach an obstacle with a positive mindset?
Okay.
Kind of similar, right?
Yeah, kind of.
You know.
But some of the key,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's so many. I would say one one thing for me, in particular, is definitely prayer and meditation. It allows me to kind of still myself and be able to really take in what's coming and to really start to, like I said, compartmentalize and say, okay, this goes here, this goes there. Just a lot of times life is chaotic. Right. So being able to really be still in a chaotic moment has really allowed me to maneuver in really powerful ways in big moments. Like my son, he had a brain tumor and he had to have surgery, and this was like during COVID, so I had no family around. Me and my husband, we couldn't be in the room at the same time, you know. Yeah. And at that moment, it's your child, so it's like everything feels like this, you know, and everything's moving, and so it's just like, okay, I got to take this breath. I got to really sit and make some really tough choices and decisions, and nobody else is here to help me navigate that. So what can I do? So for me, it was the prayer. It was separating certain, dynamics and saying, okay, I can move this way or I can move that way. Which one seems more logical, and starting to break it down into smarter pieces like you did.
And I kind of want to add on to that really quick. You said compartmentalize, right? Like you'll compartmentalize things. How do you manage compartmentalizing things? I did this in another video. I just butchered the word, right? But how do you manage compartmentalizing things without exploding, right? Because when you do that, sometimes you really have to set aside things that can just be itching at the back of your head, right? Like, it's like, you just don't know what to do, especially in a situation with your child, right? And you're having to separate that from life and COVID and not being around your husband and family and friends and just trying to navigate through that. How do you compartmentalize things like that without exploding?
It's really honestly just taking things one step at a time. Because if I start to say, okay, my one child's here, because I do have two kids, right. One child's here, and then another one's here, and then I got to go over here, and then how am I going to do that? And it's just like, for me, I'm one person. Okay. And I just have to respect the fact that I'm one person and I can't do everything at once, but I can do what I can. So if that means that right now I'm going to be still in this moment, take a breath and say, what is in front of me now? What am I presently encountering now? So I really believe in the power of the presence and the power of now.
Absolutely. And so do you come back to it? Do you say, okay, I have these certain things I need to come back to, or is there some things that you can just sweep under the rug and just never come
No,
back?
I'm definitely, I'm speaking this way, which is true of how I formulate, but I definitely am like a master. So I'm like, okay, X, Y, and Z. Okay, I've done this. Now I got to go back to this one. Like, yeah, I'm definitely going back to the task. I might just have to put a pause in it for a moment, but I'm coming back.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. You know what I've actually started doing lately to help me with that? Because I can compartmentalize things, but I won't come back to it.
Mm,
Like it's done. It's gone. Like it's over. It's finished. Like I don't ever want to talk about it, speak it again. It's just done. Like a relationship or like, you know, a job or a situation that went bad or somebody passing or something. You can just black it out almost, right?
mm,
So it's helped me. Just happened to be right here. I've started journaling.
okay,
And
yeah.
I've never done this before, but I've actually started journaling recently. And I can write things down, which I'm getting better at. I haven't written a lot of things down, but I'm getting a lot better at it. And I can then come back to it. So taking some
Definitely
notes
a
and
powerful tool.
yeah, and just, I guess funny, I started like my first page. I was like, this is the chaotic, crazy, wonderful, real dumb life of me or whatever. Like I just wrote some random bunch of gibberish, but it's just who I am. It's just who, you know, my
Right.
thoughts in the moment. So that's helped me. So
No, definitely a powerful tool. I've done that and I still do that to this day. I do journal. But I don't know. I think that like how my brain is set up, I don't know if it's because I'm become a mother and, mommy life is different. So it's like you got to remember a ton of things at
right.
once. So I don't know if that's what's helped me be able to be like, oh, okay, I got to do this. Okay, now I have to do this. Like I could just transition and know that, okay, I forgot this. I have to go back
Right.
to it.
Right. Well, I mean, I get that. Like, you know, if it's tasks and things that you have to do, but for me, it's just like life situations I just don't want to deal with anymore. Like, you know, if I got kids and things I got to deal with, like, you know, of course you got to handle that and work and business, but I like to compartmentalize things to where I'm just done. It's over. Yeah. But getting better at it. Definitely getting better at it.
I can
Yeah.
see. I can see and understand this.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Uh, that was a good one, I think. If someone listening feels like they're just surviving and not thriving, what's the first thing they can do to start thinking bigger?
Well, the first thing they have to do is what is surviving and thriving to them, I would think. Because I think that's subjective, right? To
Yeah.
me, surviving and to you, surviving can be two different things. Like surviving for me could be just like, oh, I ate today and I went to work and I'm just grateful, right? Surviving for somebody else is like, oh, I had to make a certain amount of money today and get a certain amount of tasks done and do a certain amount of things and I've survived. You know, so you got to figure out what that means to you. So figure out what surviving and thriving means to you. Write it down, make a checklist, something along those lines. Even if it's just a mental note, and start off with kind of like just talked about it earlier, is just taking it one step at a time, saying, okay, what are the things that I'm grateful for now? Right? Well, how am I surviving now? Like, is this really surviving or is this something that somebody else could be thriving off of?
Mm,
You know? I mean,
yeah.
it's an honest question because like we sit there and think like we get attached to like maybe like social media and what we see on social media. I see you take this trip with your friends and you're spending all this money drinking, having a good time, and like, oh, I'm over here surviving and they're over there thriving, right? But you don't know, maybe they saved for months on end to make that trip happen. Or maybe they blew their whole credit card or blew a check and now they don't have any, you know, their bills are short or behind. Is that really thriving? Or, you know what I mean? So
Right.
you have to figure out what's best for you in your situation, where you want to be in life, and set some goals and just take it one step at a time. Really, really find things to be grateful for because if if you can't find things to be grateful for, then you'll never thrive because you'll always be searching for it. You're always going to search for that next thing. You know, as addicts say, searching for the next high, right?
Yeah.
People that are addicted to money, they're searching for more and more money, and they forget to live in the moment. They forget, like you said earlier, live in the now,
Yeah.
right? You can miss life like that. You really can. So that'd be
Okay.
my suggestion.
I like it.
Appreciate it. Um, okay. So how do you balance seeking support from others with taking personal responsibility and doing challenges on your own, right? Because, I know you have a lot of family that's probably there for you and so forth, or at least, from back in the day, from what I remember, you definitely did, definitely had a lot of family that was there, and your parents, cousins, aunts, uncles and stuff like, but like, you had a lot going on. So how do you manage, like, balance that, like, versus seeking their support versus just saying, no, I got this and I'm just going to take personal responsibility and have it on my own?
That is an interesting question because even though I have tons of family and I know that I could call them at any point, it's like, because I've always been one to just listen and be obedient, if you will. Like I feel like nowadays I have this like rebellious streak of about myself. So it's just like, oh no, I'm gonna go do that. Like I'm just gonna do it myself
Gotcha.
and experience life, right? In so many ways. Yes, I know that I have it, and it's great to have that safety net.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to have that and know that it's possible that okay, if I need it, it's there. But at the same time, I don't depend on it.
Right.
It's just like this is my life, this is my experience, and I have to figure out how Erica is going to navigate and move. You know.
Mm-hmm. So I think you kind of mentioned about that earlier. You felt like everybody had a plan for you and you had to take control of your own life, right?
Yeah.
So on the flip side, when do you say, maybe I need a little bit of help? Maybe I need some advice. Maybe I can just, ask some questions and stuff like that. Do you do that? Or do you just, because you're such a free bird and you want to do it all yourself, do you not do that?
No, I definitely ask for wisdom. That's one reason why I even named this podcast "Sitting with Wisdom" is because I've been privy to be around a lot of people from different industries, different backgrounds, and everybody has some wisdom.
Right.
Everybody. So I'm always asking the question. Like I interviewed a guy recently, and I didn't even know what he really did. But then when he told me, I'm like, what? So I started asking out, off air. I'm like, hey, so how do I, how can I promote this podcast better? And, using some of his guidance and tips. So I'm definitely going to ask.
Okay. So you're gung ho, you want to do it yourself, but you're not afraid to seek help when needed or ask
Definitely
questions
not.
and get support. Right. And that's great because in life, it's not really what you know. It's about who you know. Like you can know everything in the world and think you're the smartest person in the room, but if you don't know anybody and have anybody that can help you along the way, then you're going to miss out on so many opportunities. So
Facts.
that's great.
Facts. Being able to open my mouth and
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I don't know about this exactly. Do you have any pointers? It has really gotten me far in like, being able to actually open my mouth. Because at one point I didn't, I
Right.
was really just,
Rebellious. Just do whatever you want to do.
yeah. Okay, my turn. Who's a visionary that has inspired you?
Visionary that has inspired me. My sister.
Mm,
My sister's
that's a
definitely
good one.
inspired me. Yeah, she's definitely a good one. Um, yeah, for sure. She took on a role of being like a sister mom when she was young to help take care of me. She put herself through school. She took care of her child while she was in the military, took care of me, her own kid. She got married. She has a beautiful family now, and she put herself through nursing school and, got her master's in nursing. Now she's working as a nurse. So to see like where she's come from and some of the things that she's seen, because I saw a lot of stuff myself, but with her being a little bit older, she saw probably more of the chaos than I ever saw.
Mm,
Um, because, obviously like, being through the deaths and things like that, there was way more to that before that. Like, with being homeless and seeing drug addiction and family doing chaotic things. Like she experienced a lot of that firsthand. Whereas I was so young, I didn't really get to see that, which is great. I say get to see that because like nobody wants to see it, but
Yeah.
so she had experienced a lot of that, and she dealt with a lot of family trauma as well. Um, and just to kind of see where she came from and to where she's at now, it's definitely inspiring for me for sure.
Shout out to Linda.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Man. Yeah, I used to love going over there.
Yeah.
And just seeing her, like her spiciness, it was just like, I was like, oh man.
Spiciness. It's definitely a little spicy Latina, that's for sure. But
She
she is still spicy. Oh my God. Yeah, it's nonstop of her, but it's just grown a lot. It's great to see. I got stories for days, but I won't put her out there like that. But yeah, she's overcome a lot for sure. How about you? Who's a visionary for you?
Ooh. A visionary
That's
for
inspired you.
me. It would be my grandfather.
Grandfather, okay.
Yeah, like my grandfather, he has definitely experienced life. Like had some really good highs and some really good lows. And just to see him like really persevere and overcome in his older age. And just, some of the things I know he's experienced. It's just like, wow, okay, so I have that within me somewhere, somehow.
All right,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, like being able to tap into that. Like he's, I want to say he's 80, 81 maybe now. He had prostate cancer.
Okay.
He's dealt with, but he's also had like a fabulous experience because he's like a creative, if you will.
Yeah.
So being able to see him actually transverse life and actually come out on a brighter side has definitely been an eye-opener for me.
Okay. So we both did the family thing. Would you say any celebrity or famous person or maybe artist, architect, whatever? Is there anybody out there that would inspire you?
Who I've been interested in watching is, I want to say her name's like Doechii okay. Or something like that.
Never heard of her.
Just her story, like I didn't either. Yeah. But one of the people I interviewed, she was saying her name, so I was like, "Who is that?" Like, look it up. And she like lost her job, and she decided that she wanted to be a rapper, and so she really like went all in. Like, she was like, "I'm giving myself X amount of days to make this happen, to create this," and then she ended up winning a Grammy. Oh, wow. Like, literally, she made an album in 30 days and won a Grammy for it. But she was very, like, determined, and she saw what she wanted, and she executed. So I was like, man, so this year I've kind of been using her thought pattern, just of her explaining that, to be like, oh, okay, I can make that happen. So that's kind of how I even started really going even harder on this podcast thing. So I'm gonna make it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One for me. I alluded to him earlier, Jim Rohn, right? He just the motivational speaker, and he just some of the things like it's funny because he tells a story about being like from I think a farm land in Idaho or something like that. And I lived in Boise, Idaho before, right? So that was pretty cool. And he went from basically a poor family to a multimillionaire. And he kind of did it with the help of somebody that mentored him. And, mentors are very, very key to like that really is tremendous help, so, but he just talked about, he's a very witty person, and he has like a lot of like quotes, like I mentioned earlier, but he'll say things like getting rich is easy, but right. Or getting up and going to the gym and getting healthy and getting in shape. It's easy, right? It's all easy to do, but it's also just as easy not to. Right? Just as easy as you can wake up in the morning and go work out, or just as easy as you can save and work hard at your job, you can easily just make the wrong decision and not do it.
Yeah.
And it's easy because like it's something you can do. It's attainable, right? You can put the hours in, you can get up early and to do it. It's hard work, but just actually making the decision to do it, it's an easy decision to make. Like it's a yes or no, right? And this, it's not hard to say yes or no. But now you just got to put in the work. So, he just has a lot of quotes like that, and just a lot of things that he talks about and does that really helped me out a lot, and about being consistent in life. And, I'm supposed to be more consistent here on my podcast, but I got to do a better job. It's tough. it is definitely tough, but it's a little refreshing talking with somebody through it because, like I mentioned
Yeah.
before, just talking to yourself can be a little like, okay, but yeah.
Yeah. I feel that. All right. It's
What
your
else do
turn.
we got? I'm not sure if I asked this one, but how do you manage negative self-talk when going through adversity?
Ooh, that's self talk. So oftentimes, um, the moment I hear myself, right, and I've started to even think that I'm about to attach to the thought, I try to course correct. Because for me, I know that thoughts are thoughts, right? It's the moment that you begin to attach to the thought that really takes you on a spiral, whether good or bad. So if I'm hearing myself, say something negative, it's like, okay, hold on, course correct. So I kind of try
Okay.
to readjust right in the midst of that moment.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
tough. Sometimes I just go all in with the thought sometimes. I do. Like it could just be negative and I'm just like I get in full emo mode and I just dive all into it. And sometimes that actually helps. Sometimes you just gotta go through it. It
Feel that
depends
process.
on the thought, right? Sometimes you gotta voice your thought, right? You gotta, that's the
I
podcast.
love
But
it.
um yeah, I definitely get it. Like you can't like you got to separate it from real life a lot of
Yeah.
times, right? Like you can't just let it make you, because we do have these negative self talks all the time. Like we judge the way we look. I guess we're our own worst critic, as they say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, when I first started this podcast, I made about like 5 or 6 videos and I just kept deleting them. I was like, nope, that sucks. I sound horrible. I stuttered too much. That was horrible. This sucks. Blah, 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 blah. I was just constantly just negative about myself, right? And just talking to myself. I don't like the way I look. I don't like this. I don't like that. And sometimes I guess, you just got to put yourself out there. All right. You just got to
Yes.
say, you know what? The girl that you like, Dolce,
Doja
right?
Cat. Yeah.
Dolce. Yeah. Like she just said, F it. Like I'm just going to just grind it out. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm just going to do it. And you got to do sometimes. You just got to say
Yeah.
F it. Like, I'm just going to do it. Forget all the negative thoughts. Forget about all the naysayers that everybody else says. People are going to be like, are you sure you want to do that? There's so many people out there already doing that. Like, I don't know. Nobody wants to really hear you talk or listen to you and this, that. And it could come from your own family and friends.
Yeah.
Right? And it could be with anything, right? I'm speaking about the podcast because that's what we're doing right now. But there's just so many negative thoughts that you could have about yourself. Sometimes you got to dive in it and say, like, is this really something that I'm gonna let control my life? And like I said, sometimes I'll dive into that thought and I'll just kind of live it for a minute. I'm like, all right, well, how do I feel? Miserable, right? Like, okay, now I'm in misery. Now what? You know, I
Yeah.
don't think that worked out very well. So let me just go ahead and set this aside. Let me not let it make make me and realize I'm better than that. We're better than that. There's more to life than that. And let's find it.
I like that. But see, that goes right along with this whole topic of visionary thinking because at one point you do have these negative thoughts, but then you're having to shift yourself out of negative thoughts into something more positive that can, who knows, open doors that you could never imagine happens and you just don't know what opportunities are next.
Right.
So stepping outside of comfort, stepping outside of what you're, telling yourself, stepping
Mm.
outside of programming is like, okay, let's see what really happens. I literally just put on TikTok that I was doing a 90-day glow up, as I call it.
Okay.
I'm doing 90 days of raw food.
Okay.
I'm doing 90 days of branding, sitting with wisdom,
Okay.
and I'm doing 90 days of my spiritual life and being very intentional about those three aspects. And I just want to see what happens. So,
Got to start somewhere. Day
yeah.
one, right? When was day one?
When was day one?
Mm.
Whew.
Are we all
I've
right?
been doing this. I've been the thought process of it, I'll say that the thought process started probably like 2 weeks ago. Um, was eating. I went back vegan because I was vegan for like 7 years. After I had my first son, and then I went back vegan probably like 2, 3 weeks ago, and then this week I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just going straight raw because I want to just reset my whole body. And from there, I started thinking about branding and, all these three things that I really want to develop. And I was like, yeah. So for me, I'm just going to say all together, today's day one.
Okay. Today's day one. We
Yeah.
gotta hold you accountable for that. So everybody out there listening, today is February 25th, 2025, and today is
Yes.
day one for Erica Love sitting with wisdom in her
Yes.
90 days. So
Yeah,
we're gonna see how it goes.
definitely. I'm excited because just the thought of being intentional, and you hear all these great people talk about what it looked like, and the walk they took was very intentional for them to get to a certain place in
Right.
life. And so what does it look like if I'm intentional with my life, with my movements, and what can happen,
Right. And there's always got to be a day one, right? Like
Yeah.
there seriously always is. Nobody just starts off and they're already at day 90 and they've just hit it big and everything just
Facts.
worked out and all their goals are achieved. So there's always got to be a day one. I think the struggle for me with that is there's been a lot of day ones. There's been a lot of day ones, right? But you know what? That's okay because at
Yeah.
least you're trying. At least you're constantly just going and going and going and just giving it a shot. So I commend you for that. Commend you for your day one. And
Thanks.
even if this so happens to be day 30 and you miss a couple of days, we'll just carry it on from there. 32, 33, 34, because,
Facts.
some progress is better than no progress.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it my question or is it your question?
I don't know.
I'll let you have that because I think I talked about the negative self-talk, so I'll let you go.
What is a belief or perspective shift that completely changed the way you see life?
I got one for you. And this may rub people wrong,
Okay.
or it may not, right? But I used to wonder, maybe not wonder, but I had a hard time believing in God.
Mm.
I had a hard time believing like, why would somebody that loves you so much and that has a plan for you, wants the best for you, this, that, and the other, allow somebody to go through certain things? It didn't make any sense to me. Like, why? Why do people have to be poor? Why do people have to struggle with abuse? Why do people have to struggle with all these things if you're a God that loves and takes care of his people, right? And there's people out there that could be going through these things and they're worshiping day and night, right? Yet they're still going through these things. And I struggled with that. I struggled with that a lot because I wanted to believe and I wanted to follow God, and which I do. And I go to church now. I'm super grateful for it. I'm part of a church community and it's definitely changed my life a lot. But before that, like I really, really struggled with it. It just didn't make sense to me. And so one day, I think the pastor was talking and he was talking about a similar topic. And, one of the things that makes God so great is that he allows you to make your own decisions, right? Yes, he may have a plan or path for everybody, or, he may say, hey, take a right. Because, if you go right, you may have that urge like, yeah, let's go right. I'm going to make the right decision. But you're like, you know what? Left is looking a little fun right now, that
Right.
drink or that drug or that woman or that person. I kind of feel like living in my flesh, right? I kind of feel like going and taking that left turn over there. And I know I probably shouldn't because it's going to mess with me. So, you make the decisions that you decide to do, right? So that being said, I may make the right decisions. But I encounter Erica and she's not making the right decisions. And it just so happens to be that I'm with her during a certain situation. And now all of a sudden that decision plays effect on me because he allows you to make decisions. So yes, he may have a path for you, but he allows everybody to make their own decisions. So
Right.
you control your life and what decisions you make. And yeah, it's bigger than that, right? It's even bigger than that. So my parents had decisions to make. Their decisions they made affected me to where I'm at now. Their parents, the decisions they made affected them.
Right.
So it's about one day sitting there having a conversation with a friend and saying, you know what? I want to change. I envision myself going this direction. Despite all the negativities, time for me to change. Vision a new life for myself. That's like where the perspective changed is I stopped wondering and questioning God and the things that happened in my life and started saying, taking more control over my own actions and understanding people have responsibility and control over their actions, and that sometimes, unfortunately, their actions are going to affect my life, and my actions are going to affect my own son's life, my significant other's life. So I have to take ownership of myself, where I'm going, what I'm doing, who I'm surrounding myself with, and just starting a new path, saying, you know what, from this day going forward, I'm going to live life like this. And it may not be perfect, and I may still encounter some people that don't necessarily live life the right way, and I may still make bad decisions, right? I may still go drinking on the weekend. I may do some things that I probably shouldn't be doing, but at the same time, I've got to stay focused and understand there's a bigger picture out there, and that even though life isn't necessarily where I want it to be, it's not God's fault. It's my choice to understand and believe that there is a better path and a better journey, because why not? What do you have to lose? Right?
Very
Like, what do you have?
profound.
Yeah, like what is it that you have to lose? So you might as well think positive. You might as well think that there's a bigger plan and better future out there for you, and align yourself with his plan, because even if you don't want to believe, because it's a supernatural thing to believe some of this stuff, right? Like if you really think about it, there's somebody up there watching you in heaven that's created this whole entire place that you're in right now, and all the chaos and all that. It's almost alien like, if you really want to think about it. Like it's almost crazy. Like if somebody just came to you and was like, oh my God, there's just people in my head and they're just doing all this stuff, whatever, you might think they're kind of schizophrenic or crazy, right?
Yeah.
But that's almost kind of how you have to be in your belief with God. You almost have to be crazy to believe it, because we haven't seen it. You know what I mean?
Look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, it is a way to look at it. But if anything at all, just reading like the Bible and some of the things he says and that's written in there, at least it's a good way to live life. Whether you can comprehend the concept of believing that there's a bigger picture out there and a higher being out there, at least reading this book and seeing the good deeds and the good ways of living life and treating people, I mean, that in itself is like the ultimate motivational speaker. You know what I mean? Like let's really think about it. That's the ultimate person like that, So yeah, so that's
It's
where my perspective changed. If that
very
makes sense.
interesting. I like the fact that you brought that up, because I remember when we were growing up and we used to have some really profound conversations for what were we, like 16, 17,
Yeah.
18, 19, like conversations, and you definitely had that experience when it came to God, is talking about the belief systems, and yeah. So yeah. Man, these were just remind me of moments.
Right. Crazy moments, good moments. Absolutely, for sure. Let me ask you one. So you're a married woman,
Yes.
right? How has your vision of life, right, your thinking, combined with being married and having a spouse and having to understand their thinking and their vision, right?
It's a balancing act for sure
Balance.
in marriage. You definitely have to balance. You definitely have to have an awareness of everybody involved. So, and then adding kids to the dynamic, it definitely is like, hey, whatever choice, like you were saying earlier, like whatever choices we're making right now, they not only affect us, but the boys. So let's make sure we're weighing this out, that it's effective, and it's going to be a positive, not a negative.
It's a lot of give and take, right? Like you have to be open minded and pick and choose your battles, as they say, because if you just want it my way or the highway all the time and vice versa, then it's going to be a tough
Definitely.
relationship or marriage, I'm sure. And then not only that, like you said, you have two kids as well, and you have one that's probably in that preteen stage, and I don't know if you're dealing with it, but let me tell you, that preteen stage, gotta love it. It's that's a personality in itself right there. So yeah, that's a lot. We definitely commend you for that.
I have one more question.
Okay. I'm out of questions, I think, unless something pops up in my head. So let's see what we got.
It says, let's say 5 years from now,
Mhm.
everything we've been envisioning for ourselves actually happens. How do you think our future selves would tell us to think and act right now?
How would they tell us to think it? So everything that we envisioned has happened, and now we're trying to decide how to act and think in that moment, basically.
Our our
Our
future
future
selves
self.
are
Oh,
literally talking
telling
to
us
our
our
past.
past self now. Okay. Oh, wow. Enjoy the ride. Don't give up. Never give up. Um, because it's coming. It'll happen. Be grateful for every moment, and just honestly, yeah, it's just not to give up. Like I know it's tough. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of frustration going on, but that's you got this. Keep your head up. Keep striving. And yeah, that's really it. I think it would just try to motivate us and just tell us, hey, I know the journey's tough. I know it's hard out here, but you got this. Just keep on going. You've been through this before. It's been worse. Life's gonna get harder, but just as hard as it's gonna get that much better. So maybe something like that. I don't know. But I tell you what I would tell my future self though, is I would tell my future self, don't forget the journey because you can lose it quicker than you got it.
Oh,
And trust me, I know from experience. I've had some good years recently, and I've also had some really tough years recently. And you like to live on those like, oh man, this great, life's going so well and everything's so perfect, and then reality will hit you and be like, yeah, no, no, you're still gonna go through some things. You're definitely still gonna go through some things. It's not like if life is gonna bring you challenges, it's just a matter of when life is gonna bring you
yeah,
challenges. There's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys, however you want to say it. You just have to be grateful for the good times, be smart in the good times. There's going to be times in your life where you're going to make a lot of money. And then you're like, oh man, I'm making all this money. Now I got to spend a lot of money.
yeah,
Right. There's going to be times in your life where you're not making any money and you're struggling and you're like, man, I wish I was making money like I was before. Or, you don't understand how to get through it. So I would tell my future self, be smart. Don't forget the journey you were on because it could be easily be taken away. So that's what I tell my future self.
perfect.
So, but that being said, you have to make a plan, right? Because if you don't make a plan and if you don't, understand where you are now, the next 5 years is going to look like the last 5 years, and that 5 years and like the 5 years before that, and
Yeah,
so forth and so forth and so forth. It's another quote from my guy Jim Brown trying to tell you, you got to you got to you've got to make a change now. Like you seriously do, because if you don't, the next 5 years is going to look like the last five.
yeah,
And next thing you know, I'm what, 36? I just turned 36 last week. I'll be, it's been 20 years since we've known each other. It's been 10 years since we talked. I mean, how quick has that gone by if you really think about it?
fast, really fast.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much life has happened between now and then. And so if you don't make a change or decide to go in the direction, or if you give up on your podcast, right? Or if you don't just can start a day one and see it through, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll be 45, 46 years old. Be like, hey,
Yeah,
wish I wouldn't have stopped doing that. I wish I would have stayed consistent. I wish I would have gave it another chance. I wish I wouldn't have given up. And that's a tough way to live life.
yeah. That's what is crazy because a lot of older people that I've been able to sit and talk with oftentimes the main thing they always talk about is the regret,
Yeah.
right? The not doing something. So for me, I think that's been a powerful tool in my toolbox because I know everybody's going to have regrets, but I don't want to, especially in this moment, this season of my life, like I don't want to live life with a regret. At least I've tried, at least I've got to experience. So that's my motivation right now. The experience, knowing that it is a journey.
Yeah.
And the journey is, for me, the most important part.
Right.
And how I live, in between those 2 years that go on your headstone, that dash, like living it out and really experiencing it to the fullest.
Yeah, because we're getting to an age where we're starting to feel older, right? We're starting to be like, oh man, I'm feeling old. I'm getting old. But, we'll never be as young as we are today.
Yeah.
So, we got to stop living like, oh, I mean, life is just the way it is. And I guess this is just life now. No, it's not,
Yeah.
things could easily change so drastically if you just decide to change yourself.
Yeah.
Do something different.
I love it.
Have a vision. Think it through.
Yep. Have a vision.
That's all I got.
It's been great.
It has. Great
really
conversation.
It. Yeah.
Me too. Really good conversation. I thank you for allowing this to happen. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you for even initiating it.
Mm-hmm. So when this goes big and crazy, that's right.
He did. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. So if we don't talk another 10 years, which we will, because I think we should probably come back and do another video later on.
Yeah.
I think maybe find another topic or something like that. I think this was great. I appreciate your time. So I definitely do. Yeah. I hope life is going well.
It is.
The kids, everybody is healthy now, and your husband, I hope he's doing well. The barbershop, that's awesome.
The barbershop. Mm-hmm. Same for me. From me to you and the little one.
And I'm engaged now,
Oh,
so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you didn't see it. It's on my Facebook. It's there on my Facebook.
I'm on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook.
I understand. I do. Like I was only on there just to post that and tell people happy birthday.
See?
That's it.
I'm going to try to do better though, but yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's all I got. So those of you out there, I'll say my little spiel. Thank y'all for tuning in to Voice Your Thoughts with Sitting with Wisdom. Yeah. That gave me a lot of words of wisdom. And
same here. I want to thank my audience, Sitting with Wisdom, for joining me on a great conversation with an old friend. And bye for now.